10-20 at the win. Couple little factors here, I would say, is that I was, there on a trip and just playing up. I usually play 2-5, 5-10. So in the game there was people with $60,000 on the table. It was sort of a crazy game. But I had three, and, a backup bullet. But and I've also been kind of working on my overbetting. So that sort of factors into this hand a little bit. So just a couple little data points there.
So this is win 10-20, is that right? Win 10-20?
That's right. Yeah.
Because doesn't the win just usually do that like 5-10 uncapped game? Is this 5-10-20 or they were just straight spreading 10-20?
Yeah, well, it was 5-10-20. And then everybody wanted to straddle to 40, so they converted it to 10-20. And then the $40 straddle was on sometimes, but it wasn't on in this particular hand.
So this is the converted 5-10 uncapped game, basically, right?
Yes. When I sat down, it was 5-10-20. They had an actual placard, 5-10-20. Mm-hmm. And then they made it 10-20 so people could straddle to 40.
But it is uncapped, right?
Yeah, there was everybody had at least basically 10,000 in front of them, except for me.
Yeah.
It was I think it was six-handed.
And I've heard this game gets a little Euro pro'd up a little bit too. Not the most recreational game from what I hear. I've only really played it a few times during the series. I've never really played casual poker in Las Vegas because I'm rarely in Las Vegas unless I'm in the series. Okay, so you're 3K effective, one of the shorter stacks, okay?
Yep, for sure. So I have 9-8 of hearts.
Okay. Villain
opens in the hijack to 50, which was sort of a small open. I mean, people had been opening bigger than that. And this guy, he seemed decent. And I had seen him do some folding to aggression, which is also factors in a little bit. So I'm in the small blind with the 9-8 of hearts. I make it 150. This is my first hand since moving to the main game.
I have to ask you something because you didn't say this in the email. So it's 6 or 7-handed, is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
So does that mean, so if it's 6-handed, the hijack is basically in essence like the under the gun? Because when you emailed this hand in at full ring, I thought that this was way too light, especially for a tough game like 9-handed game. If people are playing pre-flop correctly, and believe me, I get dunced on all the time for, saying that my pre-flop game isn't sound. I would just fold here, especially, well, it's only 2 blinds, but especially 3 blinds. But I mean, you made it really, really small. First of all, you're supposed to kind of go 4x here from out of position. I don't know if I would choose 9-8 suited here, but if the guy's effectively like in the under the gun spot, it might even be a little bit even worse here. I mean, he's got 3 guys behind him plus the blinds. I think I just tossed this hand.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably this part is the part I feel like is the worst part of the hand, actually. Just playing it, and then also the sizing just seems wrong.
I mean, I would have went to 200. I mean, I think that you can make this play against the button sometimes, but I just think it's a little bit too low. But okay, so you go to 150.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Big blind folds, and the villain calls, and we're heads up and pots 320.
All right, so 320, heads up. Not super deep, by the way. I mean, 150 effective. Okay, but he did start it with a small raise, and you went small 3-bet. So it's actually the stack to pot ratio is actually smaller than what it would be with typical live games. The other thing too, as someone pointed out in the live chat, 9-8 suited it's kind of the worst suited connector on the way that it interacts with other big hands, because you can make some bottom end straights here, like on obviously 10 Jack Queen, which in the top end is Ace King. So that's just something of note here too. Okay, so your heads up, the pot's 320.
Flop is Ace 7-3 with 1 heart.
So do you remember the suits?
I know it was rainbow, so I believe it was a club and a spade.
I'm gonna put Ace of Clubs.
But I don't remember which one.
7 of Hearts.
Which, to be honest with you.
Ace of Clubs. I know that the turn is inconsequential, but we'll get to why it would be consequential. So Ace of Clubs, 7 of Hearts, 3 of Spades. So you flop sort of 3 to a straight and a flush here.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So I bet 120 and villain calls.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a smaller sizing here of 1/3 and then kind of plays automatic here, and then determining what it is on the turn. I'm going to assume, though, because it's a tougher game, that these guys are going to be structuring correctly. So there isn't going to be a lot of dead airball floats, but right types of hands, like backdoor, Broadway suited hands that have backdoor straightening and backdoor flush possibilities. That's going to be very important as we move to the turn. So you go 120 and he calls. So now the pot is 245, 560? Right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
So turn is the 10 of clubs, I believe. I have that as a club. So yeah, so that was the club. And so it's full rainbow, but obviously makes me open-ended.
All right, then I'm going to put up ace of spades here. I know it's full rainbow because it really, I'm going to put up ace of diamonds because I know it's full rainbow because of the email. So, okay, so now you pick up open-ended. So you pick up one of your backdoor draws.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I make it 350. I know in the kind of email back, you said maybe go full pot here. I guess I wasn't sure. Like, I felt like if I had ace king in this spot or something along those lines, like, and I'm trying to keep queens in, and I just didn't know if I wanted to go bigger than that. But maybe I should here.
Well, so when Ian says that went back and forth in the email, 99% of the time, I don't go back and forth in email about a hand that I'm going to do. But Ian was a new subscriber, so I had recorded a response to him. We had a late minute cancellation, and then I was like, you know what, you want to come on and do this. Now, I actually ran this hand. I texted my buddy, Squish My Tomato, and content creator too, because, Squish has been in a lot in the solver streets a lot more than I have. And my gut reaction was similar to his in the sense that I think you have probably one of two sizings here, but I don't like this sizing with what you have left. So if you go 350 and he calls, the pot's going to be 1260, and you're going to have, almost 2x the size of almost about 2x the size of the pot left. I think that especially on a board that doesn't bring in any backdoor flush draw here. Now, I think the 10 probably, you're a little bit light here, but let's just say you 3-bet all ace 10. Let's say if you 3-bet all suited broadways with the 10 in it, including ace 10 here, the 10 doesn't really matter as much because you both have 10s, you're both defending with 10s. So I don't think the nut advantage changes all that much here, especially if you're 3-betting off ace 10. But I think that this is either a large bet or somewhat of a smaller bet, maybe like 1/3-ish, and then evaluate rivers where you might run a triple barrel. Now, if you bet really large here and the guy calls again, it's really strange because you have, let's say the river's a brick, right? It's really strange because you have absolutely no showdown value, right? Now, that does not always mean that you take the absolute worst hand and 100% bluff with it. I think that if you went to, say, 550, 600, something like that, and he called, I would probably be doing a lot of giving up at the end, because I think he's probably supposed to defend down with any ace. Now, if you went 600 and a call, the pot would be like 18, and then you would have like 21, 22 left. So with no backdoor coming in here, if you go full pot, you can't call with like queen jack with no backdoor flush. So I think that's the key. I think this is a key inflection point of no backdoor. So the 2/3, I'm not really sure about the efficiency of this bet. But okay, so you bet 350.
Yeah. So I bet 350, he calls, and then the river is another 7.
So hijack calls, and now we're at 1260, and Hero has maybe like 2,500 left, something like that.
2,100 left.
20. I thought you said you started with 3,000.
I thought I did, yeah. Maybe
500, 600. I thought you had like 20. Okay, so maybe you start at like 28 or something.
Yeah, I think it was something like that because I definitely have that. I end up jamming for 2,100, so I probably had a little bit less than 3,000.
So you jam?
Yeah. So
Jesus. One thing about this here too, which I don't think a 7 continues on here to your 2/3 sizing. If you had bet say full pot, it's definitely not continuing on. If he had a backdoor here, he might have a pair of tens. The point that I'm making here is that I don't think the 7 is as much relevant as somebody might think. Oh, you can't bet here on a 7. I don't think the 7 is really reflected when it goes call all that much. So I don't think it's all that relevant with the particular texture of the board. Now, when you go to like almost 2x pot here, it's pretty interesting what your opponent is going to defend down with and whether or not he's supposed to start to fold out some like ace 4 suited, ace 5 suited, some of these ace X that he's defending, because you're almost betting twice the size of the pot, which means that he only needs to defend down with 33% of the hands that he arrives with. Obviously, he's going to call with ace 10 and ace jack, ace queen, somewhere around there. So, but then, you don't have an ace, so all the aces are fully represented out here. It's just a little strange with this side turn. Like I said, I think I probably would have gone either full pot and then given up, or maybe gone 1/3 and then maybe pot at the end. But you bet 2,100, so Hero bets 2,100.
Yeah, and I definitely think he just has. Just given this board, it seemed like he has an ace, right? Like a lot of the time. So I'm definitely trying to get him off an ace, which might have been ambitious. But I was also felt like I was playing a bit into my image, just because I literally hadn't played a hand. I was obviously a non-professional at this table, and to go, 3-bet, 3 streets feels like a pretty strong, I'm going to often have a pretty strong hand there.
Here's the thing about when I chalk you up. Like, let's say that it was obvious for whatever reason, maybe everybody was a reg, right? And you're the only non-professional there. I'll tell you how you should really use it to your advantage. Because if I didn't know who you were and you were like a non-reg and it was obvious you weren't a professional, I'd actually call down a lot lighter here with ace X, because I see a lot of non-professionals, they don't want to play huge pots with one pair of types of hands. How you can really work that to your advantage is if you take full 3 streets, like to the maximum with ace king, and you just value town the guy, and he calls down with ace jack, ace queen. Unfortunately, that's not the reality of most non-professionals, where whenever they get into a situation like this and I'm blocking top set, I'm going to, or also too, if I ever see somebody like, somehow luck box 10-10, and then they want to get the call so they don't jam all in, because they don't necessarily understand that this guy has to defend down with ace X, I'm actually more likely to call down here, because I find it to be a little bit unbelievable. Because if I see it's just rare to see a non-professional go ace king, ace queen, like this. So that's people in the chat saying repping a boat. I think he can. Ace 10, ace king could it is a very, very large bet. Ace 10 obviously beats ace king, so you'd rather have ace 10. And then other people are also saying that, if you were to bet 1,000 or 1,100, you might get the same fold here as going to 2,100. And that could be true here too. So I think what you could take away from this is that the sizing on the turn is a little out of whack. Usually it's going to be, sometimes you do use a 2/3 sizing, but I think here it's going to be either smaller with a non-flush card coming, or sort of full pot and then give up, even though it seems very, very dirty. What ended up happening? So you went 2,100 all in.
Yep, he tanked for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then he called with ace king.
Oh, what a nit roll.
So, yeah.
What a nit roll. So, yeah. He tanked for 3 or 4 minutes with ace king?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was in the tank forever. So I don't know. So to me, I was like, oh, maybe the bet wasn't so bad. He tanked for a long, long time. But he said he didn't know what he'd do with ace jack or ace queen, which I asked him. But so
Ari in the live chat saying, but I don't think he has ace 10 Bart. I doubt he will 3-bet out of position. He 3-bet 8-9 suited. Let me ask you this question. Would you rather 3-bet ace 10 suited out of the small blind in this configuration, or 8-9 suited?
I'd rather have ace 10.
Of course. I hope so.
Yeah.
So I think there goes that argument. But that's a nit roll. Did anybody else look at the guy at the table and be like, what the fuck is this guy thinking about here?
I think, yeah, the one guy who was a professional next to him seemed a little like perturbed by it, but you know.
People in the live chat saying sounds like Nick Vertucci. He told me on the live stream that he embraces the name now. Well,
yeah, I mean, he should. Why not?
I mean,
it's a brand now.
He's got a great spot being able to play in those anti games and play like, you know, really good starting hands. He's improved a ton. He actually even plays he plays pretty well post flop now too. But just the sheer fact that he plays a very solid fundamental game pre-flop is just enough to crush these guys in the anti game. It's unbelievable.
He's changed so much since, like, you go back a couple of years there. It's like, whoa, he's totally different.
I mean, I'm sure he's
player.
been getting some lessons or some help, and that's what you see with some of these rich guys too. And I do wonder. I actually spoke with Ryan Feldman today a little bit. There were some. Wesley's playing too good right now. I don't know if you crypto Wesley. Like, I don't know. You know, he dropping names, and the only thing with him is that he's got to realize though that like it's so bad to play on the short stack. Like, he's got money and he's playing short, which is a huge advantage. And I can see it. I can see
in that game.
Yeah, and I can see it really irritating a lot of other players. But I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot, Bart.
All right.